we'd love to hear from you on Twitter and see those posts come. I'd like to welcome our special guests tonight. So we've got Peter Ellis, who's here from River City Labs, who's the CEO, just standing back here. And we've got CUA, who's been incredible in terms of getting the logistics working for us. And Aaron Murphy, who's our fantastic facilitator for the event. And knowing and seeing Aaron's work, we're in very safe hands. He's done several hundred of these types of events before, so we're going to have a really enjoyable time. I'd also like to just recognise there's some CUA executives in the room tonight, so thank you for joining us. We have a CUA working group, so if you just stand up for a moment, the working group, these are the sorts of people that will be able to help you through the event. So just recognise those faces, and if you get any questions answered, go and find these people over the event. Right. We actually have a range of corporate sponsors, and I just wanted to recognise we have 8 sponsors. So we've got AWS, Microsoft, SMS, Telstra, Infinity, CoreLogic, KPMG, and ATK. So they're sponsoring in terms of support and also prizes through the event. So thank you to those organisations that have worked with us on this. And I just want to acknowledge the diversity of the group here tonight. Really excited to have lots of professional services firms. We've got students represented. We've got the startup community here, and we've also got our CUA staff here. So, with that mix of clever thinking, we're going to get fresh ideas and great insight as we work together next Thursday night. And it's about that collaboration is the key for us, that we can work together with what we can come up with a strong. So what I wanted to do is really also tell you that we've invited a group of our members, so people customers members, and we've actually invited them to come on the Friday afternoon next week. And we're going to have a focus group available for you to test your ideas again. So that's a new opportunity that you don't often get at these startup events. You're actually going to have a set of customers in play, and we're going to be able to work with them together, make sure that the ideas presented to the judges at the bottom line and so that's exciting. Right, so what I'd like to do is now call upon Dell to take you through, and then from there he'll so thanks very much for coming.
Thanks, Melissa. And, I'm not going to speak long because Melissa said, Matt, you can only speak as long as your web line actually lasts. So I will keep it brief. My job is to give you guys a little bit of background context. Because I don't want to, we don't want to automatically assume, especially for the outside people that are joining us, that you actually know what CUA is all about. Just before I start, how many people who are not staff members, because all the staff members are members of CUA, are members of CUA right now? Okay, great. 1, 2, and the rest of you will be by the end. So yeah, I can talk to you about home loans as well, but that's a whole another topic. CUA, we are not a bank. I need to say that again. We are not a bank. We are a mutual. And what that means is we are owned by our mutuals, by our members, by the people who actually use our services. And that's a really important distinction for us. That in itself is a big motivator of why people come to CUA, why they stay with CUA, why staff come to CUA. Many of the staff that you'll be working with, they work for large banks, including myself and a number of other people. What drives us is that, unlike the banking situation where you're balancing the trade-offs between customers and shareholders, we don't have that. There's only one group we look after, and that's the members. So that is the driving force behind what we actually do. And that goes back about 7 years ago when CUA was actually formed. We're an amalgamation of diverse groups. We're about 150 different credit unions that have formed over 40 years. Now, for us, in terms of our size, we've got about 430,000 members across Australia, across all states. When we service our members with about 900 odd staff, probably the oddest of those. We have about 56 branches across the Eastern Seaboard. We have one lonely branch in Perth. We have 2 call centers, one in Sydney, one in Melbourne. And then we have a wide range of digital touch points. And increasingly, that's the key area for us. Because what our members are actually focused on is how we can help them at all hours and wherever they're actually are. And that's a key focus, and that's a key focus of what we're trying to do. The other key element of our business strategy is around this element of life's changes. So unlike the banks, and we've all had bank experience where they offer you a range of different products, we're not product pushers. We feel that part of our proposition is helping people through those life changes. And those life changes don't always have to be positive. So they don't always have to be your first job, your first child, your first home, your first overseas trip. Sometimes life gives us some negative experiences. And we believe that it's sometimes in those cases of those negative life experiences where an organization like CUA, who is absolutely committed to supporting the members then through those negative life experiences as well, whether it's the breakdown of a relationship, aging parents, or potentially death in the family. So for CUA, in terms of products and services, we do offer the full range of banking products. We also offer health. We have our own health fund. And we also have a small general insurance company. So we believe that we're able to provide the full range of services that a bank does, but with a difference. And that difference is that we actually put the members at the center. All the banks say that. All the banks say they put the customer at the center. We all know that's the issue. But they have to balance the issues of shareholders versus customers. So, your challenge and how you can help us, if I can, is to bring your minds, your creative minds, your non-banking minds, and the way you view the world in a different way to helping us solve those problems around those life. Now, while we think we may have some ideas as to what people need at those various life change points, we don't expect that we have all those. That's what we need your support on, helping us craft what can be a unique solution to those needs. And the thing I would ask you to say is, don't be confined by this concept of part of that solution has got to be a banking solution or an insurance solution. From the CUA perspective, part of our value proposition can actually be going out and securing something else that supports, whether it's advice or some other component that we don't actually manufacture. So I'd encourage you, don't be confined by that. So that's the challenge. One final challenge, if I'd ask you to think about around the three criteria for the proposition, it's got to be feasible, it's got to be desirable, and it's got to be viable. So each of those three elements will be the key success factors as we assess propositions you guys are going to try to do. So I haven't to take any further questions at the end, but I want to get back to everything. So thank you. I'll turn you over to Dara. Thank you.
Hey everyone, so I do have a bit of band flu, so just bear with me if my voice drops out at any point. Can everyone hear you? Can't hear me up that side, okay? Sweet. So very quickly, just show of hands, who's been to a hackathon or a startup weekend event before? Okay, so thank you. Hands up the CUA staff that are in the room. Cool, hands up those of you that are already registered for the event. Okay, awesome. This gives me a bit of context as I talk through stuff. So please feel free to interrupt at any time. We will do a Q&A session at the end, both about what I'm about to talk about, but also about CUA in general. So very quickly, so I'm part of River City Labs. If you haven't been to River City Labs before, it's a tech startup hub founded by Steve Baxter. It's set up as a not-for-profit, and it's basically to support early stage technology businesses that want to go global, so globally scale. We have a co-working space, roughly 100 desks, mix of memberships, but more importantly, we run a lot of programs. We have a sponsored entrepreneurs program, which we're doing in partnership right now with CUA, and part of this relationship is getting to run fantastic events like this. We also have other more serious accelerator programs targeting later stage technology startups, and I say serious in that we hold them incredibly over the head daily. We do a lot of events out of the labs as well, so feel free to come down and check it out at any time. You're absolutely welcome. Most weeks there is a drink session on a Friday, but just check in the event calendar to make sure it is on. I had this slide in as a reminder to talk about CUA, but I think we've covered that for this one. So what is a hackathon? So number one, we are not hacking the CUA systems. It's not someone breaking into servers and that sort of thing. It gets asked the question quite a lot. A hackathon is usually an event where there are coders actually working on building products. This is probably more like a startup weekend event. So it's very much focused around identifying problems and opportunities and actually building something over the course of about 54 hours. And I'll give you some examples of what's been achieved at previous events so you have a context of the expectation. What should you sort of expect coming in? So lots of people attend these events for very different reasons. You might have an idea that you've been sitting on for a very long time. You may want to upskill or learn from your learning or get access to the mentors. Some of you have no idea, you just want to find out what startups are and what this world is because we speak an entirely different language. And it's really sexy right now, right? Like all the levels of government are talking about startups and innovation. And lots of people actually come to create something, like they're actually looking for a real commercial outcome at the end of the event as well. So that's a really bad quality image, but basically this is Start Weekend that's run by Coca-Cola. So in the US they run these quite often. They drag together people from all different business units across the country, fly them in together, and they run these Start Weekend events. This is our last one at, I think it was our last one, at River City Labs in Brisbane, so 160-ish. I think this was the one where Tony Abbott came along, and shortly after he lost his seat, but we don't know. But really mixed bag, really mixed demographic. Really mixed skill set coming into the weekend. A big focus of the experience is all about lean startup. So lean startup, it's actually a methodology. It's a way of launching a new business. So it was invented by this guy, Professor Steve Blank at UC Berkeley. He actually looked at early stage technology companies and said, you know what, the traditional rules of an MBA and all these businesses, they actually don't apply to this early stage technology company. There's a whole different methodology that's needed. I mean, it's lean start. It's called lean startup. It's not about running lean as in you have no money, although lean startup's great. It's actually about putting customer discovery, customer development first before rushing out and building a product. So you'll see a big part of the hackathon event is actually getting out and validating your ideas. So everyone has an idea. Like, hands up if you have an idea, or an app, or a new product, or a new service, or something CUA should be doing better. Right? We all do in some context. We all think it's great. Everyone says it's going to be the next Facebook and go viral. It's like, how do you prove that? You have to go out and actually validate in front of customers. So that's a big part of the experience. So what sort of ideas? Well, I think we covered this off, so Matt covered this off a bit about the types of ideas. But there is a context and there's more information on the website about this as well. We'll talk about more at the end. But what I'd encourage you to think about is, all the internal processes within CUA as well. There's opportunities around that. But that customer engagement piece, I think, is really critical. What you just going to talk about, I think that life journey, that storytelling around that, the opportunities that exist in that space. So what can apps and designs and showing prototypes to customers without having to know anything about coding as well. So we go through a lot of those sort of talks as well. On the Saturday afternoon, we have mentors come in. They sit for 2 hours in here. They give up their time. And that's a combination of mentors from CUA and also from the startup ecosystem. We'll keep you here most of the night. I think we keep you out about 11, 11:30. Come back in on Saturday. Similar process. So Saturday morning, we have mentors come in again. And then we switch into pitch mode. We start preparing pitches. We do a bit of a workshop on how to pitch. And by Saturday afternoon, you'll actually be pitching to a panel of judges. So you'll stand up and do a slide deck, talk about all the customers you've got, or at least the insights out of the market, what you've learned, and how this could potentially be a new business model or a new product. Prizes. So there are a heap of prizes. I have a couple up here. I know there's been some more added. So there is actually a cash prize, which I think is pretty impressive. Prizes from Microsoft, Telstra, I think AWS offerings and stuff as well. Mentoring with Steve Baxter, and then also some others. The other thing I'd encourage you to think about is, at the end of the day, CUA is doing this for a reason, a number of reasons. So in addition to their internal cultural transformation and innovation agenda, I'm sure if there was something there that really sparked a commercial interest, there's opportunities for that to actually have legs for us to be. Really though, we don't emphasize the prizes too much. So you shouldn't be attending with that as your goal. Because what you'll get out of it are all the intangibles that you just don't know until you actually go to one of these events. So you will find if you've never been to one before, they are addictive. We have people fly in to attend hackathons. I fly wherever they're on to go to them. We had a team at 12 come out from South Korea to attend one of our events on the Gold Coast. You will get addicted to them. It's incredible. But really it's about that peer-to-peer learning. It's the experience. So it's basically experience-based learning. And you'll get so many insights and so much energy out of it as well. So why attend? There's lots of reasons. As I said, lots of you will have ideas, you want the experience. We feed you the entire time as well. You get a free limited edition t-shirt, strictly this event only. Heaps of perks. But at the end of the day, you'll build lots of new connections too, new ways of thinking, new neural pathways actually in your brain as well. But this is the main reason why I think we all have to attend. So I use this slide a lot. But basically, if you look at the disruption that's happening in the world, we have a choice to make. So we can either be consumers of that change or the suppliers of it. So I'll give you an example. Like we all know lots of them, Uber, Airbnb, like name your favorite two-sided marketplaces disrupting traditional industries. At the moment, all of those companies are based overseas and we're just consuming them. And there's a lot of talk of what impact does that have around knowledge-based jobs of the future, innovation domestically in our economy. So the opportunity for us is to actually own that change, right? Like we could actually build something here that could potentially be a global game changer, but actually have it onshore in Australia. Who should attend? So number one question I get asked a lot, you don't have to be technical, you don't have to be a coder, you don't have to be a designer, you don't have to wear a hoodie and sit behind a laptop with really bad VO. Anyone can attend. So all of you are actually potential customers of CUA if you're not already. All of you transact in some way in the financial sector already. If you run businesses, if you are consumers, you have value to add. Every skill set is useful in terms of going and engaging, getting feedback, and influencing product design. So how do you register? So there are tickets. The advantage for the CUA staff, it's actually free. For the externals, you do have to pay. That's to actually get you to show up, because usually there is a massive attrition rate. But please jump on and register. The link I'll show you at the end with the actual URL. The other comment I'll make, if you can't attend the full event, you can come either as a volunteer, so donate your time, although I think we have a lot of volunteers now. But the other way is you could just come to the Thursday night as an observer and the Saturday night as an observer. There's a ticket class for those as well. I do encourage you, the Thursday night is the most energetic. My job on the Thursday night is to convert those observers to actually stay the full time. And hopefully you will, like you'll get caught up in it and see why it's so important. This is the link, cuahackathon.rivercitylabs.net. Take a photo if you need to. Please jump on and register. The earlier you can do that, the better for us in terms of organising catering, getting the right t-shirt sizes. So if you want to avoid wearing the wrong size t-shirt on the night, please jump on and register tonight. That would be really useful. That was everything. So I guess at this point it's just Q&A, a chance to ask any questions, myself or CUA.
At the beginning of the presentation, there was 3 criteria: feasible, credible,
Desirable and viable.
viable.
So, yeah, so what I mean by that, so desirable obviously is it desirable, will it truly be desirable by our members and by the community? Because the community is a critical component of our proposition. Because fundamentally, because we're owned by members, part of our proposition is we need to support the communities that our members operate in. So when we start thinking about our propositions, we get involved in a lot of localized as well as national sort of campaigns and activities. So it's got to fulfill that need. That's the first criteria. Is it desirable by those 2 stakeholders? Second is feasible. So is the solution, is it something that we can source? Is it something we can create? And is it something that we can support from a scalable perspective? And the last thing is it viable? Does it actually create some value for us and for our members? So if it's just an esoteric sort of thing, that's probably not going to be. Thank you.
I forgot to mention the judges as well. So Steve Baxter will be one of the judges. I can't remember the others. Sue, yep. So Sue's title is now Chief Digital Officer of CUA. Yep. Awesome. Any other questions at all?
And what we'll do is we'll provide a product called Sway. It's maybe a bit of it, and we're going to have the full kit in terms of everything you need to know, including the judging criteria. So you've got that up front, so when you're working with your team, you're really clear about what those judges are going to be looking for, and then so you can develop up the work in line with that. So we'll be providing that just the day before, so that once you're registered and you're really clear about what you need.
Yeah, can I ask everyone a question? Who here's a startup?
Three. Good to know. Was there a question? Yep.
Yeah, I'm just interested to know how the teams form.
Yes, so it's completely organically. So the person who pitches basically has responsibility for putting together a team. So you stand up in front of your pitch, you write up your idea on a piece of butcher's paper. There's this complicated voting process involving post-it notes. And then basically everyone goes and mingles with the ideas that they like, talk to the person who pitched, like the founder, discover what they want on their team, having that conversation, trying to assess, will I be able to work with this person? And then basically it just happens, magically. What we would encourage, particularly for this event, is a mix of CUA and non-CUA staff. So we will actually mandate a balance. And look, you can come in as a pre-formed team, lots of people do it, but I'd really encourage you, you'll get more out of the weekend if you actually work with complete strangers than working with people you know. And the reason for that is we select friends based on people just like us. And we tell startup founders all the time, you actually don't want a co-founder that's just like you. You actually want someone that's different. Someone that's going to actually challenge you on every assumption that's in your head, bring different skill sets to the team.
For registration, are you needing us to provide you with the initial idea, or?
No. So you actually don't need even an idea when you show up on the Thursday night. So some of the ideas that have gone to win have actually been thought of in the toilet break immediately before the pitches. Sometimes it's the very last person to join the Congo line of pitches that's just like, you know what, I've got my courage up right now, I'm going to go pitch. And keep in mind as well that teams will pivot. So we use this word pivot a lot, but basically you start out on the Thursday night selling soft drink, and by Saturday morning you're selling t-shirts, and by the time you pitch, you're like doing a car distribution model. Because you get out of the building, actually talk to 100 customers and realize no one wants your damn product. So you have to actually pivot to the bigger opportunity.
Is there a time limit on your pitch? Or?
So for the Thursday night, it's strictly 60 seconds, and then we boo you off stage. For the Saturday night, it's a 5-minute pitch, followed by 3 minutes of Q&A from the judges. And we announce all the winners on the Saturday night. So everyone goes home with their knowing who's who. Just out of interest, who have I convinced so far? So who came in tonight, maybe thinking of going, and now are going to go? At least one. Who's sort of undecided? A couple. So the other way I pitch the event is it's very much a fail-safe environment. So if you are ever going to actually participate in an event, participate in a startup or actually give an idea a crack, before you rush out and spend a lot of money building something that no one wants, this is the perfect environment to upskill and actually test that idea. So just this calendar year alone, I've had 3 founders come to me. They've each individually spent $750K developing a product without showing it to a single customer, and then going, I just need to market it. It's like, no. You should have spoken to the customers first and for $50 manually done something like the Wizard of Oz behind a curtain to generate revenue for them. So yeah, I challenge your thinking. If you are ever thinking about actually giving this a go, perfect chance to do it at this event.
So you said there'll be members coming along. Do we get a chance to talk to them at some point?
Absolutely. Yep. So we have 13 or so registered at the moment, so we'll have a small group, and what we'll do is we'll brief them. They'll be here for an hour. So they'll on the Friday afternoon. So you've met the teams, you've got your ideas ready, you've had some access to internal CUA mentors, and then you'll have your idea at such a shape that you'll be able to then talk to these members and just teasing them. So we've got them representing all these different life change events that have been selected appropriately so that you can actually access a particular member that represents that life event and then be able to really test your idea. But not limited to that, so there'll be opportunities around in terms of you can go out on the mall and talk to people. It's about or other methods of collecting survey data to be able to validate your idea.
Yep.
What happens if the observer comes up with an idea?
So someone who's got an observer ticket comes up with an idea. Yeah, so it actually happens quite a lot. They get up and they get caught up in the moment, they come up and pitch, then they come and talk to me afterwards and we flip them to a full weekend or a full event ticket. It's not a problem. Sorry, there's another question.
Yeah, so if you want to access some data to have a bit better understanding of validated idea, how can we do it?
Yes, very good question. So yeah, this Jack didn't have that in there. So if any of you would like access to particular data sets ahead of next week, basically if you can let us know, ideally tonight, what those data sets are, and they'll try and do their best to get some anonymized data that you can play with, or at least insights into what data sets, types of data sets that might exist.
And we've got an option from, sorry, I'm going to do this a lot tonight, Core Logic. We've got an offer from Core Logic in terms of access of their API and data sets. So ideas that are relevant that they can support you with. They'll be here on the first night, and so they'll be listening out for those ideas, and they'll come and chat to you as individuals or as teams to be able to share the access that they've got.
Sure, I mean, I can speak to them a little bit. So if you don't know who Core Logic are, we provide, we're Australia's leading provider of property-related data and analytics. So we work with a large number of small and medium and large organisations across a number of sectors. But essentially the types of information that we have are really detailed information at a property level, including things like valuations. So any time a loan is originated, we essentially are usually involved in that transaction in a number of ways. One of them is providing valuations that valuers, etc. use. And also lots of other points in that property's life cycle, which obviously ties into people's journey in that life cycle as well, around rental values changing when properties list and sell, all that sort of thing. So that's all available via our API, and we provide that information in advance.
Process.
So closing time on Thursday, what does success look like? So on the Thursday night, so we finish the pitches, we form teams, so number one, having a good team. If you can finish Thursday night, understanding a bit of the roles of each individual on the team, their skill sets, having a plan for the next 48 hours, and launching some surveys. So the best teams I've ever seen, they actually launched surveys using Google Consumer Surveys on the equivalent of the Thursday night. By the time they locked in 8 o'clock the next morning, they already had 500 responses. about their idea and feedback about what they're going to do. That's a pretty good start.
A presupposition is we'll have access to these tools provided
Yes.
by.
Yep, so you'll all get onboarded into Slack, which is a communication tool. I've already preloaded in there ahead of the event some coupon codes to give you credits on there as well.
Is there something online at the moment that might show us of previous events?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a lot of videos of previous events, lots of interviews and testimonials of people who've gone through them. A couple of shout outs for different things. So we ran a similar event recently for BOQ. It's very successful. 3 of the teams that actually pitched are in the progress of being taken up by BOQ, so BOQ actually becoming a customer or investing in those, which I think is actually phenomenal. There was one called, so in the UK, Leanne Kemp, who's actually a Brisbane girl, went to a hackathon event. It was actually a fintech startup weekend in London. She pitched an idea for using the blockchain to prevent fraud in diamond trading. That now, like 12 months later, she's received significant investment. She's involved with Barclays. She's doing a very secretive thing with the Commonwealth Bank. She's in 5 countries, going absolutely gangbusters. So in terms of what can come out of these, it is actually quite amazing. That 14-year-old kid I mentioned before, so he's now 17, 18. He was on 60 Minutes 3 weeks ago. Significant investment, an office in London, deal with JB Hi-Fi. You'd be amazed by the people on his board of advisors now. It's amazing what can actually come out of these events. That said, most fail and go nowhere. But it's actually about the experience that you'll get out of it. So they did exit interviews on participants. They found that roughly 30% of participants at startup weekend events have a life-changing experience. Which is probably bad to mention for CUA, but a lot of that was people quitting their day job, forming new startups, or completely changing the way they go about their day job. Cool.
Is there a list of those live events?
The CUA live events?
Yeah, we'll make that available when we give you the access display.
That's a really good question.
Yeah, they're not limited to those, so that would be on our case.
And we'll frame that a lot more on the Thursday night as well.
How about the IP?
Sorry?
IP of the IP.
Yes, so I'm actually going to talk about the terms and conditions.
So they're all listed on the registration page, so you can have a look through there. Essentially, the idea that you come with is yours, so that is owned by you. But given what we want to do is we want to have mixed teams, so we don't want one particular organisation just having its own team. We're going to bring CUA staff and startups and professional firms all in together to get that diversity of thinking. And so what we're saying is that we want to have the opportunity to work up those ideas as CUA. So that's actually spelled out in the terms and conditions. I'm happy to talk to anybody else offline about that, but yeah, that's our IP rules around here.
Yeah, I'll talk generally just very quickly about IP. So even a generic startup weekend. And I've seen teams almost end up in fisticuffs on a Saturday night debating the ownership of what they have. Like literally, I'm not doing any more work until you sign a letter saying how much equity I have. So what I have branded on my t-shirt, this is the motto of Startup Life: ideas are worthless, execution is priceless. So it's a public event, we live stream. Anything you pitch is going to be in the public domain, right? If you're sitting on the 7 secret herbs and spices, you don't want to share it, don't share it. But whatever you give, I guarantee you'll get back tenfold over in terms of a learning experience. But yeah, I'll talk a lot more about IP in general on the Thursday night. If any of you have specific questions, please come and talk to us as well. Cool.
What's the average size of team?
So it varies. So we say that the smallest team you can have is 3. So basically, if you stand up and pitch, you've got to convince 2 other mugs in the room to join you. And then usually, I think 4 to 6 is a good number. If you go more than that, it tends to end up a train wreck. On the Thursday night, we let you actually go. If you've got a bigger team, we'll let it go because people are still fluid. Even by the next day, halfway through the next day, we find people move between teams. Particularly when you pivot and you find you hit a failure point, teams might splinter and work on 2 different ideas, or people just move. So by about the Friday lunchtime, we lock you into, right, this is your team.
The rule set to just in case you want to change one of the things you said.
Yeah. I'd make it up as I go. Cool. If there's no other like generic questions at this point, we can break. I'm going to be here for a while. Please feel free to come and ask any other questions that you might have. Mingle with each other. The whole purpose of the startup ecosystem is actually random connection. So please talk to people who have spoken before. Please hit up the CUA guys and girls and ask them questions as well. Cool. Awesome. Thanks very much for giving up your Thursday night as well.
So yeah, the thing is, I do. Turns out,